Greetings, shifters, light guardians. Once again, my name is Brendan, aka Skull Babylon, aka Skull the Wolf, aka Mystic Spider-Man, welcoming you back to our weekly team tarot reading here on behalf of the Paradigm Shift Central Project, a real-world interactive game to be able to help assist with the shift in consciousness. If you guys are watching this live on YouTube, just do me a favor and drop an 1111. Make sure that you guys are synced up and you guys can hear me okay. I'm pretty certain that things are running through perfectly, though we don't always do this to YouTube, so we're testing it out here, but nonetheless, we are gonna roll with it anyways, and we are also broadcasting across Facebook as well. So again, what we are doing here within the context of the Paradigm Shift Central Project, perfect, I'm getting the audio coming back. Okay, we're good to go. So within the, thank you guys, within the Paradigm Shift Central Project, again, this is a real world interactive game to be able to help assist with the shift in consciousness. We're building a global team of shifters and paradigm shift communities. Every week on Mondays at currently kind of like early in the morning or whatever in the afternoon, we do our weekly team tarot readings. And so using the power of the tarot, what we are doing is basically checking in with the, I kind of refer to it as like the metaphysical forecasts from the universe. We are creating a space for the universe to be able to communicate to us through the power of symbols, and that's where the tarot deck comes into play. So as I charge the deck here, just reminding you that this isn't so much of a fortune telling as much as it is an opportunity for us to be able to receive additional insights, inspiration, guidance, perceptions, paradigm shifts related to how to continue to choose to be the change that we wish to see, related to self-mastery and all that beautiful stuff. So whenever we do these, as I'm charging deck here, and we're going to pull the card in a second, I'm always really excited. I'm always really interested in terms of what it is that we will be able to receive. Again, like this is, you know, a surprise for me too in the moment. And so moving into this, the intention that we set is simply to show us what we need to see. That is the basic intention of what it is when we do this. And so with that said, please feel free to leave your comments as we roll through this experience. Please feel free to share this broadcast. Please feel free to share where you're tuned in from. It's always a beautiful thing. So let me just charge this one more time. Okay, we're good. Perfect. All right, so again, I invite you to just kind of drop into your heart space, to be open to receive any messages that come through. What we'll do, we will pick one card. That's all we do. Just pick one card, and then I will read it from the book. This is from the Ananda Tarot deck, for those of you who are interested. And then from there, we will relate it to the bigger picture. I'll give my own interpretations of it, and then from there, we'll do a little meditation at the end, and we'll wrap it up. So, inviting you to drop into your heart space with me as you take part in this meditation, even if you're watching in the future, full time back in on itself. Connect with our breath. And just align with the intention of showing us what we need to see. So, oh, great universe, woo, show us what we need to see. Woo, bloop. And then just like that, we pull the card there and we take a look. Very cool, very cool. All right, so the card that we got for today is Spheres 3. So allow me to open up the book real quick as I pull up the write-up for you, and I will read for you what is written in the book, and then from there we'll go a little bit further. So symbolically, just kind of looking first and foremost at the image here, just from my own interpretation of it, very literally what it is that we were looking at. So we got a kind of like a chapel looking window, and you got this, the three spheres kind of like right in the center of it, almost forming kind of similar to the Triskelius, which is kind of like that Celtic knot type of symbol. It looks reminiscent of that. You can see like the shape of the cathedral is very much like an ascending point, similar to a pyramid, so that could have some interpretation of it. Again, like I don't memorize all the cards, so even for this, I'm gonna be, you know, on the same boat as you as we're reading through it for the first time. And then you got the ground, the landscape, the trees and the forest, the natural elements and the cosmos and the heavens. So let's read a little bit more into what we will receive from this card. So thank you again, everyone, for being here and for kicking butt. Let this message be one to continue to open our hearts and continue to inspire us on our path as shifters and light guardians. Three of Spheres. And as I'm reading this, just kind of drop into a meditative state, listen, just be very attentive with your heart. Three of Spheres, the image. From the deep cosmic blue of the night sky appears a Gothic window integrating three stylized spheres in its symmetrical construction. Meaning, from the world of duality, newness is born through the union of opposites. In the energetic field of polarity, the individual develops the ability to create new things, to adjust to the environment of personal requirements, and in turn adjust to given conditions. Just going to reread that. In the energetic field of polarity, the individual develops the ability to create new things, to adjust to the environment of personal requirements, and in turn adjust to the given conditions. Through the ability to synthesize, the differences of various manifestations in the outer world can be brought to a new common denominator to guarantee development and progress. Symbiosis as the combination of various life forms has a supporting and living effect for the whole. I'm going to reread that. Symbiosis as the combination of various life forms has a supporting and livening effect for the whole. Success arrives at this point after painstaking work, as well as the evaluation of previous experiences. However, within the constant change of becoming, existing, and passing, there is no condition of real duration. Seen in the bigger picture, the image represents only a transition from one condition to another. Astrological significance: Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, trine aspects. Keywords: calling, bundled energy patterns, progress, development, evaluation of experiences, giving content to other values, adaptation, creativity, increasing resemblance, symbiosis. Traditional meaning: synthesis, construction, creative power, creating an existential basis, collective effort, communal living. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. This card is a little bit... this card's interesting. Some of the cards are a little bit more literal. This card is one where, like, the interpretation, I feel like I need to kind of like read this again to really kind of be able to extract a certain specific message that I want to be able to pass on to you guys. So just kind of hang tight with me, as I just want to be able to kind of go over some of this again, which is not totally common. Sometimes like the message is super clear, but it's like this one, it's just like, what are we talking about here? So let me just kind of hit upon this again. And if you guys have any of your own interpretations, please feel free to leave those in the chat, and I'll keep an eye on it as we kind of go. But again, this one's like kind of like cryptic. So let me kind of reread this again. From the world of duality, newness is born through the union of opposites in the energetic field of polarity. The individual develops the ability to create new things, to adjust to the environment of personal requirements, and in turn adjust to given conditions. Through the ability to synthesize, the differences of various manifestations in the outer world can be brought into new common denominator to guarantee development of progress. Symbiosis as a combination of various life forms has a supporting and livening effect for the whole. Okay, that's important. Symbiosis as a combination of various life forms has a supporting and livening effect for the whole. Success arrives at this point after painstaking work, as well as evaluation of previous experiences. However, within the constant change of becoming, existing, passing, there is no condition of real duration. Seen in the bigger picture, the image represents only a transition from one condition to the next. Yeah, okay, I can kind of see where this is coming from. Okay, so, and again, like, this one's challenging. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. So I'm like, it's really kind of like making me think. I'm like, what is message here? Synthesis, construction, creative power, creating an existential base, collective effort, communal living, calling, bundled energy, progress, development, evaluation of experience, giving content to outer value, adaptation, creativity, increasing resemblance, symbiosis. Wow, this one is, like, I'm not normally stumped by these. I'll be honest with you guys. This one's hard. This one's like, and again, obviously every time we do this, you know, it is a chance for us to be able to challenge ourselves. And so I'm challenging myself by kind of putting myself on the spot to be able to interpret this for you guys. So the key thing that I'm really getting out of this is the idea of understanding that, like, everything that we are building is building us for, is creating wow, okay. Everything that we are creating is a part of a bigger story, is one thing that you can kind of think of it as. And one way that I interpret this is kind of thinking back to the idea of like understanding that the work that we're putting in now is going to be able to create the foundations for the future plans ahead that we may not even really be able to realize. And so when we're working within, again, the world of duality, newness is born through the union of opposites. In the energetic field of polarity, the individual develops the ability to create new things, to adjust to the new environment of personal requirements, and in turn adjust to the given conditions. Wow, guys, I'm like feeling this like it's not a long description, right? So through the ability of synthesis, the differences of various manifestations in the outer world can be brought to a new common denominator to guarantee development and progress. This one's hard, man. Like, again, like out of all the readings that I've done, you guys have seen me, I've never really felt like flustered in this. And I'm not even feeling flustered. I'm just trying to like decrypt this. Like, it's literally in front of us, but even still, like the write-up on it, it's just like, what is this actually referring to? What is this actually talking about? And like the basic idea is that, you know, out of duality comes new creation is one thing that I can kind of think of. And I guess that in itself is an important thing to be able to understand that, like, we are constantly on the edge of being able to merge ourselves with new experiences. And when we do, that in itself creates the space for new growth. And so when you think of, you know, symbolically, like what we're talking about here, we have two spheres. And so two spheres and obviously a third sphere, but like two spheres in itself, that in itself represents the duality, the yin yang, male, female, etc., like that. But what's interesting is that when the two spheres come together, that in itself creates the experience of making a space for something new. And so literally within the concept of sacred geometry, which I feel is kind of like the way how we can interpret this card is kind of by like studying it through the concept of what sacred geometry represents. You know, the idea that out of opposite comes something new. Where there once was two, when the two meet, something new emerges. And so what I feel is a good way to be able to interpret this is being able to look at ourselves and our situations as those opposites. You know, it's something internal and something external. And we have to understand that every time that we do something, it creates the space for something new to come forth, for something new to be born. And so specifically, I feel that the message that we can resonate from this card is being able to kind of like see our edges and the edges of that which is challenging us or that which is calling us into more growth, and how when we meet them, when we overlap them, that in itself brings forth a new circle. It creates a new form. It creates in itself a symbiosis in a sense where like the third element only is birthed through the interaction of the two. And so in this sense, you know, if we want to be courageous, if we want to be more brave, how do we do that? How do we really do that? The only way to be able to do that is by merging the circles of our own inspiration versus that which challenges us, or perhaps even that which scares us. And through that, that is where courage is born. You know, you can't simply say like, oh yeah, I'm super confident and I'm you know, I can do anything I want. But if you're not met with the challenge, if you're not met with the duality, if you're not met with the opposite, how do you even know that's true? At that point, it's nothing more than just words. But once you have actualized it through direct experience by overlapping your actions with your environment through intention, that in itself creates the new experience, that in itself, which can integrate it into the completion of the whole. So I feel like that in itself would be one of the ways to interpret this. And so I really encourage you guys to think about, you know, think about that metaphor of life expands, like life begins at the edge of your growth. And really, really think about what that means, right? So we have to sort of think of our own self as a circle, is kind of exactly what this card is saying. And again, one of the ways how we grow our circle is by expanding it so it overlaps with other circles. And so within the context of like the Paradigm Shift Central project, this is actually a very powerful idea. Like now I'm starting to kind of get a little bit more about what this card is actually about. This is actually a very powerful idea because I feel that our role within this community project, within the concept of being light guardians and shifters, is to intentionally overlap our circles with other people's circles. And so when we're doing things like free hugs, you know, this is something that I even talked about like way back. You know, when we are doing something such as free hugs, we are literally going out there as a circle, and another person who is their own circle is doing their thing. And yet when we come together and when we do free hugs, it literally creates that space where the two circles overlap, where the two circles become a third, where the two circles create a seed. And so like literally, in terms of sacred geometry, you can measure this. You can see this pattern emerge where, you know, literally like two circles like this. And then when you put them over top, there's that space in between right there, which is the seed in itself. And that seed grows into new experience. That seed grows into new opportunity. So we really need to be able to think about the fact of how can we create the space to grow that seed? How can we overlap our circles with other people's circles or with new experiences to create new growth, to create new opportunity? And so, yeah, again, I'm pretty sure that's what this card is hitting upon. Again, just basically like interpreting it through the symbolism of 3 and what that represents. So again, you know, really encouraging you guys to go out of your way to seek where you can overlap, to seek where you can merge your bubbles, to seek where you can combine in a symbiotic way your own self with an experience, with a project, with something that's challenging you, with another community member, and understand that out of that, new reality comes forth. New consciousness literally emerges from that experience. So even just that idea, just drop some 1111s if this is like resonating with you guys, or you can kind of like see where I'm going from this. But yeah, again, like this one was kind of challenging. And like I said, I had to read it a few times, but I do feel that the message here is very, in some ways, simple, yet very important. That if we wish to grow, we have to put ourselves out there. We have to put ourselves in challenging situations. We have to put ourselves in a place where it may even result in discomfort. And so the third circle, the third piece of knowledge that emerges in itself is essentially, depending on the situation, awareness of ourselves. And so especially if you're thinking about this in a situation where you're going out of your way and you're doing something that you're not fully comfortable with, if you never go into that situation, you will never receive the gifts that that situation has for you. And I think that's a really powerful thing. And that gift sometimes can be an acknowledgement of like why we are feeling discomfort, and an opportunity for us to be able to observe that belief pattern and perhaps even to be able to change it, even to be able to change the story. So, you know, this is, I'll give you guys like a bit of a metaphor in terms of like how this relates. So back in the day, and this is like kind of a personal story, but I feel the context of it is really powerful, and it's just kind of the first one that comes to mind, even though there's a lot of other stories. And I'll just give you a quick concept of it because I feel you guys will be able to relate to this. Back in the day, you know, like I was in a relationship with a friend, and it was going really awesome, and then the relationship ended, and you know, I was really obviously like heartbroken, heart opened by that. And then there was an opportunity coming up where there was like a mutual dance event that was happening, and then knowing that that other person was going to be there, and there wasn't like hard feelings or anything, I knew it was going to challenge me. I knew it was going to like create a sense of discomfort, but even still, I had the mindset ahead of time to be able to receive whatever I felt in that moment actually as a gift. So rather than being like, oh, you know, like I'm too heartbroken, I don't want to go to the event if they're going to be there because that's just going to be too uncomfortable. Instead, I took the approach where I was like, no, I want to go to that event because I want to experience the growth that is there for me, the gift that is there for me, waiting for me to be able to receive it if I can meet it with that like appropriate open heart, with that kind of mindset. So what actually ended up happening is that I ended up going to this event, and I ended up really just using it as a chance to focus in on myself and really activate into my own empowerment, and really just to be in a in like a very heart-opening space where there was no animosity or anything like that. And they were dancing and I was dancing, and we actually like ended up chatting a little bit, and like they were dancing with another person, and even still, like I was just like, able to be happy for them. And at the same time, I was really proud of myself. I was really proud of myself because I was really just using it as a chance to be able to step into my own empowerment. So that discomfort that I knew was there, instead of turning away from it, I intentionally overlapped those circles to be able to create the space where that discomfort was actually the seed for me to be able to step into my own empowerment. So drop some 1111s if that makes sense for you, because I feel like that's something where we can all kind of resonate with. And then usually, especially in terms of relationships, it's quite common where we'll be in that space where it will be like, oh, they're going to be at an event and I'm going to be at an event. Like, maybe I just won't go. Like, maybe I'll just, because there's a part of us that's just like, oh no, I don't want to. But what happens if we approach that as a chance to be like, sweet, there's discomfort there. That means there's a gift there. That means there's something new that is emerging. That means that there is a seed that has something ready to grow out of it. So again, I feel that this concept is something that we can apply to many aspects of our life, especially in terms of like our creative projects, especially in terms of our entrepreneurship, especially in terms of being able to create physical paradigm shift communities. Because again, you know, like a lot of people, when they're thinking about the, you know, I always tell them, I'm like, you can create a physical meetup where you are. You can create a paradigm shift community meetup where you are. Open-minded discussion, meditation. You can go out and do free hugs. There's a part of you that will be like, that sounds awesome, but kind of scary, like kind of like daunting in a sense. Like that's going to put me in a place I'm not entirely familiar with. And so rather than being like, you can still acknowledge that there's something there that is unfamiliar for you. Acknowledge that there's something there that is new for you. But what happens when you create the mindset where you radically shift, where instead every single discomfort that is on the horizon is something that you are ready to receive with a higher mindset related to self-mastery, understanding that whatever experience comes out of that can be incorporated into your growth. And I think that's kind of the powerful thing in this, is that it requires a degree of self-awareness and a concept of like consciousness to be able to receive that third seed, that circle, with intention, with awareness. You know, you can go into a situation and you can go through exactly what I just said, and you can leave that night and feel like really disempowered and just be like, oh, that sucks, you know, like I'm really jealous and envious or something like that. Or the other story is, wow, I'm really empowered and focusing on loving myself. And again, in terms of projects and everything like that, it can feel, and creating paradigm shift communities, it can feel a little bit scary. But once you move through that, and once you move into it with that space of intention, you'll get to the point where you'll be like, holy crap, why was I scared of this to begin with? And that's an important question to ask. That's not from a place of judgment. It's an important question to ask, because usually that's going to come from an old belief pattern. It's going to come from old patterns. It's going to come from old programming, where it would tell you that if you were to go outside of your comfort zone, you would get hurt. But now you start going outside of your comfort zone on purpose to be able to train yourself, to be able to grow, to be able to see more of yourself, and to essentially be able to love more of yourself, and to be able to understand that everything in this reality is here to teach us. Everything in this reality is here to serve us. So I want you to really, and this isn't like the specifics of this card, but I just want you to really take this home with you, to take note throughout this week. If there are things where you feel you're like avoiding it due to discomfort within a context that makes sense for you, sometimes, you know, the right choice is to, you know, not put yourself in a situation if that makes sense for you. But if there's a part of you that's just like, you know, maybe I should go in there. Maybe I should move into that place of discomfort. Maybe I should move into that place of uncertainty. See how that in itself can be used as a catalyst for radical self-empowerment, so that regardless of the situation, you are fully anchored into yourself. That regardless of what happens, whether your ex-girlfriend shows up or not, you are there for yourself. You are there to have a good time. You are there to dance on your own. You are there to celebrate. And then whatever happens, the universe will just be like, sweet, you passed the test. And then it actually turns out that it wasn't as scary as it was. But you can make it as scary as you want it to be based on how you feel going into it. And so again, this same concept applies to our projects, to challenging ourselves, to doing the growth, to doing something such as simple as a cold shower, right? So like the cold shower, again, you think of the two circles. One is you and your current belief system, and one is the cold shower. naturally we're going to have this resistance where like we don't want to overlap those. Why would we do that? That's going to create discomfort. But what happens is that through the combination of the both, again, the overlapping, the third circle appears, the third seed appears, that awakens into a place of radical self-empowerment and radical activation. Because this is just, for anybody watching this, I really encourage you guys to get into the habit of taking cold showers, not just because they're healthy for you, but because of how you can use it to train your outlook on all of reality. Use it as a holographic training exercise where if you can take a cold shower and do it with a degree of like, yeah, this is discomforting, but this is awesome and I'm embracing it and I am able to come out of it and feeling like awakened and alive, you can apply that same concept to anything in your life that is going to meet you with a similar degree of discomfort. We as a society have conditioned ourselves into this practice where if there is something that is slightly unusual and slightly different, usually we just avoid it. Usually we just don't go near it. But we need to change that. We need to shift our paradigm into the space where, oh, there's something of discomfort. Let's look into that. Let's go investigate. Let's see how that's going to challenge my belief patterns. Let's see how that's actually going to be a catalyst for me to further love myself. Let's see how that's going to be a catalyst for me to step into my own empowerment, for me to step into it with courage. And so again, it's not necessarily just the event itself. It's how you relate to it. It's how you respond to it that is really going to give you the gift. So the cold shower in itself, like that may be, that's a neutral thing, but how you relate to it, how you tell the story where you're like, yeah, this cold shower, if I can show up into the discomfort of my cold shower, then that means I can master that job interview. Then that means I can get my essay done. Then that means I can like go meet some new friends and go out and do free hugs. Because a cold shower is a cold shower. Like it's a little discomforting, but if you can do that, if you can go through it, and if you can be like, I want to do this, think about the signal that that's sending out to the universe. And the universe loves courage. The universe loves people who are actively expanding their circles for the purpose of growth, for the purpose of co-creation. So think about that. Really think about that. How can you navigate? You got one circle. You got one circle. That's you. That's you. Like this is your player. You're moving through the game. And there's all these other circles out there. There's all these other circles. They are people. They are situations. They are scenarios. Look at where you can overlap them, knowing that every time you overlap your circle, something new is born, something new is created, something new is given to you, something new is gifted to you. Think about that. How many gifts are we not receiving simply because we're not overlapping our circles? Because of fear, because of an old belief pattern, because of an old story. And what happens when we simply shift that story? Like, believe me, guys, like the most empowering thing, the most important thing in all of this shift in consciousness is perception. It is how we see the story. So what happens if we start looking for the places to overlap? What happens if we start looking for our growth edges? If we start looking for the places that are going to challenge us? And if we really trust and understand in the process that, yes, it may be challenging, but something beautiful is going to come out of it. Something important is going to come out of it. I'm going to come out of it stronger. I'm going to come out of it with a more open heart. I'm going to come out of it more grounded. I'm going to come out of it more sure of myself. I am going to come out of it surprised at being able to see who I am when I show up to this opportunity. So again, it's a symbiosis. It's a symbiosis where you and your experience create something new. It's a synergy in that sense. So again, just going over the keywords, calling. So again, now I feel like we've really interpreted what this is. So the keywords actually make more sense now. Calling. So hearing the call of the other events in your life that are asking you to overlap and are asking you to receive. Bundled energy, progress. Again, every time we overlap, there is progress. Every time we overlap, there is something new. Even if it's discomforting, there is something new to learn there. And maybe, given the circumstances, maybe something that you learn there is to not overlap your circle with that particular situation again. You want to be mindful of that and everything, right? Like, I'm not telling you to overlap your circle with every other circle just because. Sometimes you really got to pick and choose where you navigate and where you're overlapping your circle in terms of social situations and with certain people and everything like that, right? Like sometimes, you overlap with a certain person, and if the relationship is toxic, the lesson that you get out of that is how to anchor yourself back into the act of self-love, where you create a smart and safe, responsible boundary for yourself, where you're just like, I see your circle, I see my circle, but I'm going to make the choice where we keep our circles separate for now. And that's a smart choice for me right now, you know? And so like, even still, that comes out of it. Progress. This is all progress. This is how we grow. We have to move our circles. Development. Evaluation of experience. And so again, now I totally understand this card, what it's saying. Evaluation of experience. When we move into the situations where we're overlapping our circles, think of it as data. Observe it purely as data. And so rather than getting too emotionally invested, which is okay, you can do that. You want to be emotionally invested, but not to the point where you're kind of losing the perception that whatever you're going into can be data. So again, if you're putting yourself in a situation that's slightly outside of your comfort zone, observe how you feel about that. Observe why you're feeling perhaps disempowered and how you can shift that into a place of empowerment. And this is just a key point in itself that's related to this in a bigger picture. Any place, any story that you are telling yourself where you feel disempowered, that simply means that you are looking at it the wrong way, the quote unquote wrong way. Not to say like, it's not like literally the wrong way, but I'm saying there is always a better way to look at things if you're looking at it and you feel disempowered. So again, you know, if you're in a situation where it's just like, oh, you know, like this is really kicking my butt, but this is teaching me about resilience. This is really challenging my instincts and my impulsiveness, but this is teaching me patience. This is really challenging my project management, but this is teaching me how to become better at managing projects, right? So again, anytime that you think of something from a disempowering perspective, check in with yourself, because that means that there is a way to look at that with a more empowering perspective. It is a matter of perception, always a matter of perception. So evaluation of experience. When you go through this experience, observe, pay attention, observe your experience, get your data from it. And then afterwards, you'll be able to be like, oh, cool. Okay, now I know what I'm like in that situation. Now I know how that feels. Now I can use that data to adjust my future course. Giving content to our outer values. Again, like that's really powerful too. So again, you know, like you move into these experiences, and the content and the context that you're creating is one of based on the story that you're telling yourself. So if you create the story that every time I overlap my bubble with something else, that's gonna level me up. That's gonna gain me more XP within this game. How great is that? You start looking for that. You start looking for the places where you can overlap. You start looking for the places where you can challenge yourself. Look for the challenges. Don't avoid them. Look for them and notice how radically different it will change your life. Adaptation, creativity, increasing resemblance, symbiosis. So again, you know, creativity, this is a huge thing in terms of creativity, in terms of like, you know, understanding more of who you are, understanding more of your potential. And that's again, when you get into the projects, when you get into like learning new software, when you get into learning new art methods, when you learn, you know, how to do like a meditation or something like that, you learn by doing. You learn literally by doing. You know, I've talked about this before. You can't steer a parked car. You move the car and then you kind of adjust it on the way, but you learn by doing. So if you're looking to learn, do, you know? Traditional meaning, synthesis, construction. So building, right? 2 becomes 3, 2 becomes 3, 2 becomes 3, building. Creative power, super creative, creating an existential basis, collective effort, communal living. So again, you know, just wrapping up this card, and then we'll do a short little meditation here, reminding us that we as community, we need each other. We need each other. This is non-negotiable. So like when you are out in your community and when you're doing things like free hugs, that is birthing more consciousness into this world. That is creating new connections. That is creating new seeds for these beautiful opportunities to emerge. And so we need to overlap. And this is essentially what we're doing right now. Me and you, we are overlapping our circles right now digitally, and think about what is coming out of that. New perceptions, new ideas, new inspiration. That would not have happened if I didn't do this broadcast or if you didn't tune in, right? So it's when we overlap, something new is always born. When we overlap the two circles, a third circle always emerges. A third experience always emerges. This is the sacred geometry of the universe. This is how things unfold all across the entire spectrum, and it unfolds within us emotionally, spiritually as well. So I'm just going to take a quick look here at some of the comments. I'm not really necessarily going to read the comments. I'm just really scanning them real quick. Seeing some 1111s in there. So again, guys, just drop some 1111s if this resonates with you. Again, I know it took me a second to kind of even receive the information from this card, but you can even observe how this card, me reading this card was almost symbolic of the card, where, you know, there was a part of me where I was like, you know, like the circles were there, and I was like, what? Like, what's happening? Like, how do I, like, what is the message here? And then eventually it was like, bloop, and then it kind of clicked, and then I was like, oh, there it is. So, you know, maybe there was a part of me that could have just been like, oh, sorry guys, I just, you know, I'm dodging this one. I just, you know, I give up or something like that. And then the message never would have come through. So sometimes you have to kind of push. Sometimes, you know, you'll kind of feel the resistance with the circles where the membranes will push against each other. You know, looking at it from the scientific perspective, you'll have these two circles and they'll kind of hit each other, but they won't merge into each other. And then it's just with like a gentle amount of pressure where it's like, and then they kind of merge into each other, and then it overlaps. So again, feel the resistance and use that as a place to know that the growth is like just beyond that. The growth is in the process of doing that. So again, it's super beautiful card in that sense. So yeah, dropping the 1111, 776s, 888s. Awesome, guys. Okay, let's 999s. Thanks, guys. So let's move into just a very short meditation as we wrap this up, and I'll post the write-up on this onto my Instagram at Mystic Spider-Man. You guys can check it out there. And again, please feel free to share this video and check out the past tarot readings. We have those in the info for this as well. So just invite you guys to get ready for a very short micro meditation. And if you're new and if you're tuned in, a lot of people just tuned in recently after our awesome 1111 meditation. If you haven't checked that out, go back and check it out. If you're new, just leave a comment in the chat. I'm just kind of curious as to how many new people are tuned in. And welcome. Thank you so much, guys. You know, the community is continuing to grow, and like that in itself, that's opening up a lot of experiences. So like, yeah, we're thinking of like 2 circles here, but on a bigger picture, you know, there's like a bunch of circles overlapping. It's like bloop, 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 and then out of that, it's like bloop, 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 bloop. So like we're growing exponentially, guys, in a very mindful, intentional way. So let's just move into our simple closing meditation. So I just invite everyone, gently just close your eyes, relax your shoulders, just connect with your breath here. Gentle inhales through the nose. And gentle exhales through the nose of the mouth. And just continue to breathe here. And as we do this meditation, let us do it with the intention of embodying the message that came through this reading today. Let it be a reminder for us to look for the edges, to look for the places and where we feel resistance, and to understand that that is actually where the growth is. To look for the places in which sometimes there will be very minimal resistance. There will be excitement, and look for those spaces as well. The spaces where you feel excited to overlap your circles, knowing that something new will grow out of that. Observe both of those processes with mutual respect, with mutual purpose. So just take a breath here. And give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to look for the spaces in which you can overlap your circle and receive the gifts of the new seed that takes place from this process. So continuing to breathe, gentle inhale, and then I'll just do a little bit of flowetry for you guys as well. And so each of us is born into this world as a circle. Each of us is coming here to be able to see what we are worth. Each of us is on this quest to be able to simply do our best. And the way that we come to this is reminding ourselves that this in itself is always a test. It is one of constant illusion and confusion in order for us to be able to see through. To be able to know that what is true is when we take ourselves outside of our limitations, we allow ourselves to expand. into the infinite manifestation of what we have always been, of who we can be here and now. For when we overlaps our circles, that is the seed that answers the question of how. And that seed is beautiful. That seed is constant growth, and we must nurture it before we even arrive with the intention of what it is worth. And so as we breathe into our heart, let us give permission to move forth and create worlds with our art, to move into the space and where intention will guide us, to move into the love that will truly allow us to see what has always been, all the tests that are here and now, all the opportunities that are going to continue to allow us to grow and to allow us to step into this. Wow. The potential of who we are, the truth of who we are always been. We literally are sacred geometry, reminding ourselves that we are kin. And so as we breathe, let us be constantly reminded that we are more than what we can see, and who we are in its whole exists on the horizons of these infinite goals. So let us ride into the sunrise with purpose oh so high. And with that, we will truly see that our limit is beyond the sky. For collectively, as we synergize, we allow ourselves to open the true eyes, that this world is here to help us grow, that this universe has our back, don't you know? And so live your life with intention and purpose, with this deeper wisdom that will allow you to move through this. You are guided in every moment. Your intuition is your compass. You will find your way along this path, for we are in this together as one. Gently just breathe into your heart. And gentle exhales. You are powerful. You are here for a purpose. And you are loved. And gently, when you are ready, open your eyes and return your awareness to the space around you. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for being here and for kicking some butt. Again, just a quick recap. The Paradigm Shift Central Project, we are a global team of shifters, people who are actively helping assist with the shift in consciousness. If you want to connect more, be sure to check the links out in the info for the YouTube. You'll see a link to our team Discord chat. You can join there. As well, you can be able to also sign up for the team Patreon, which is where you get your Shifter Booster Kit, where you get your Light Guardian Crystal. A lot of you are well familiar with what the Light Guardian Crystals are. But again, if you guys enjoy the content, the value that we are creating on a regular basis, this is literally, my full-time devotion / job is showing up in here and creating media with you guys to be able to help continue to inspire us. And the team Patreon is a monthly micro donation to be able to add your support. And in return, you get your Shifter Booster Kit, which comes with your Light Guardian Crystal, your shift buttons, which again are tools to be able to help you merge your bubbles. Like literally, guys, like again, these are more than just awesome swag. These are tools where previously before, think about this, if you're on a bus and there's two people and you kind of get a vibe from someone where you're like, hey, that person feels like someone who maybe I should talk to. And maybe in a parallel reality, you're just like, nope. And then you get off the bus and then you go your own way. Think about if you're in that exact same scenario and you had a shift button on you and you were just like, hey, like here, this is a gift, like you can have this. And they're just like, whoa, like, wow, like, thanks, dude. Like, this is awesome. Yeah, man, like, are you interested in sacred geometry and stuff too? I just kind of got this feeling that you would appreciate it. Oh, totally, man. Awesome. Sweet, dude. Well, there's this awesome project. You can connect with it. We actually have our own meetups that we can get involved with and you're invited. Sweet, man. Can I add you on Instagram? Perfect. Let's do that. Let's connect. Boom. New realities. Again, these are tools. Just think about how easy it can be when you have these to be able to use them as conduits to be able to give as gifts. These are powerful quest items, guys. They are much more than just conscious swag. They are powerful tools. So again, we create those to be able to give to you guys. So if you guys want to get those, you can either order them through the questitemshop.com, again, links in the video info, or by signing up to the team Patreon and getting your first shifter booster kit, which is super affordable. Again, it's just $3 to $10 is the asking donation. You get your first shifter booster kit, which is worth over $100. And again, laminated free hug signs. Again, it's all about overlapping the circles, guys. Like that's what this message is all about. That's what this project's all about. And yeah, you can sign up for there and help us reach our ongoing team objectives and milestones through the team Patreon. So other than that, thank you so much. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Mystic Spider-Man. Be sure to check out any of the past tarot readings as well as the previous meditations that we've done. Again, the 11/11 meditation. Be sure to check that out. Go check out more at ParadigmShiftCentral.com. Join us in the team Discord. And again, if this message resonated with you, please feel free to leave some comments. And what was your, what's your interpretation of this card? What's your general vibe of it? So again, much love to everyone in here. Much love to Martin, Katie, Raph, Cola, Sebastian, and Josu, Christina, and Arjan, and Daniel, and some other people Cody, and Scorp, and a lot of other people who are probably here, and Tori. There we go. Awesome. Sweet. And if I miss anyone, my apologies. So thank you again, everyone. It's great to be able to see you guys here. I'll see you over in the team Discord chat. Stay tuned. We do these team tarot readings every Monday, usually in the morning or early afternoon. And again, we do these as inspiration. So now that you've received this message, integrate it, embody it, live it, share it. Maybe you can pass this message on to someone else. And yeah, that's how we play the game here. So thank you for continuing to ripple these waves of inspiration out where you are. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, keep it shifty. Go kick some butt. Go create those paradigm shift communities where you are. Go do free hugs. Go give out your shift buttons. Go create conscious media. Go expand your circle and receive the seeds that are there for you as gifts for your ongoing self-mastery and personal development, because that is what we need. This world, if we're going to change this world, we need to master ourselves, and receiving the gifts that are there ready for us is one of the ways how we do it. So every day this universe is like ready to give us those gifts. We are here to be able to receive them. So awesome. Much love, everyone. You guys are doing awesome. Keep it shifty. And as always, I'll see you guys in the future. Much love. Pew, 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 pew.